Exactly by Aphex Twin today. Fast forward a bit if you just want to get to the track. Otherwise, thank you to all my Patreon subscribers. 3 of you. I appreciate y'all. If you haven't subscribed yet, check it out. It's great. I appreciate y'all so much. And also, if you haven't checked out the last response release, go check it out. Sitting at home. If you watch these videos and you haven't listened to that song, you need a slap on the wrist. You need to go listen to that song right now. Cool. All right. Is us, Aphex Twin. We're going to start off with this little like sample of someone saying, "Stop making that face."
Stop making that big face.
I just want to point out, this is dope because if you watched any of our other Aphex, there's 4 breakdowns total of Aphex Twin now. And on Alberto Balsam, it also starts off, let's just go check it out real fast. You'll notice on Alberto Balsam, it starts with something weird. It starts off with that weird sample. Then we did Flim, where it starts off with this like cool reverse thing. And now on Is Us, we're getting this thing at the beginning as well.
Stop making that big face.
So, yeah, I'm just pointing out how Aphex seems to do this cool stuff right at the beginning of a track before, like, a groove even starts, of, like, just doing something kind of weird. Maybe a sample, maybe, like, a reverse thing, like in that Flim thing. So if you're a producer, maybe consider doing something interesting like that for your intro. It's just cool. It's just really nice. And it adds, I feel like it makes it sound very unique and personalized pretty quickly, which is cool. So, all right, now let's hear what we got. Alright, so you notice I didn't map out all the drums like I normally do. This is partly because I was lazy today, and partly because I feel like this track is very much a play between these keys and this drum loop. So I figured it'd be cool just to look at it as one track, because it's really a play between the two, and I really just want to emphasize the macro ideas happening here. So first off, we have our A section, which is going to be this do, 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 that whole thing. It's a 4-bar loop, and it's, playing some melody, chords, melodic stuff for us to listen to, and then this drum loop comes in just to start playing with it. I made this note here. I made this red because even though it's a 4-bar loop repeating, actually this last part of the 4-bar loop is different than over here. Hear that? And I make that note because even though these are mostly the same, because this is different, it actually can almost feel more like an 8-bar loop, which just helps us get more out of the phrasing. And now on the drum loop, I made this little green mark because just notice what the drums do at the end. So it sounds like it's like reversed. It sounds like a tape stop effect. I think there's like 100 videos on how to make a tape stop effect and on YouTube. So if you want to like learn how to make a sound like that, that happens. And now this is cool because after we've now had this like 4-bar / 8-bar thing happen, I'm just gonna call it 4 bars because it really does feel to me more like a 4-bar loop. After that happens twice, you're gonna have the introduction of a little melody to help keep things interesting. Whoops, let me mute that. All right. Now, another part of this channel is, again, we're talking about macro arrangement and how to keep your track interesting. And so notice how I made this drum loop purple now, because you're going to get like a sort of like, I think it's a 16th note. Might be 8th notes. But see how I have this little line, dotted line above the drum loop now? That's because if you listen here, just listen to the drums here. Now you have a which just helps keep the tempo going. Slash, it helps, like, it's the same tempo, but it helps create a sense of progression in the track, because now we're getting the addition of something, and this something is like adding, makes the tempo, it kind of just like reinforces the tempo. You could maybe say it makes it sound like it's picking up a little bit. And while that happens, you're also getting the addition of this melody. Sounds like here I made a white marker here because it sounds like the drums are maybe getting high pass. Then they might get reversed a little bit at the end. So again, remember when I said it's kind of like a dance between the drums and the keys? This is what I'm talking about. Like, we start getting all these little variations in the drums that make your brain go, huh? What's going on? And that just helps keep you interested in the track. And so, yeah. So these little drum variations, this is kind of like a cool way to think of making a song, is to really let your drums keep the interest of the listener, and just by doing like weird effects with them, and it kind of, it's like in some tracks where I feel like it's like in a lot of rap traps, sometimes the beat drops when someone's going to emphasize some bars, and as a listener you're like, whoa. But in this track you're getting that sort of effect, but just done in a lot of different ways, and instead of being like a small flash in the pan for another track, it's a very big part of this track. So yeah. This is weird. So it kind of goes stereo just for a moment, or at least very stereo for a moment. Check this out. On the master channel I have a utility. If I press mono, this is going to make the audio mono. And when I press this mono button, we're only going to hear the mono information coming, which basically means, like, if you're listening on headphones and some special headphone stuff happens, you're not going to notice when mono's clicked, because on mono you're only hearing what would be playing out of one speaker, more or less. That's what it is. So listen to this part while I have the mono thing selected. It sounds very much just like this, right? Or this. Remember? It is maybe a little bit different, but now once I Aphex basically just threw a bunch of stereo at us for just a moment, which, again, as a listener, makes you go, huh, what's going on? And it just makes the track feel dynamic and alive, and that's cool. And now this additional melody over here was kind of just like a little bell, or like a soft little synth. Now it's going to be more of a drone situation. I could have done this. Maybe I should. Here we go. Come on. How about this? Alright. They are pretty different, so there we go. But in a macro way, it is an additional melody, so pretty much the same idea as before. We're adding a melody on top of something that we already have to help keep it interesting. Drum loop here is doing another weird little thing. Okay, so now we're gonna go into a B section. That's because the melodic parts, the chords and whatnot, are changing very dramatically. They're playing something totally different, and that's just gonna create a whole new feel for everything. And look, our drums are gonna get a little crazy too. By the way, if you want this project file, email me wilcox.alex@me.com. And yeah, I'm gonna ask you to follow me on Instagram and Spotify too. But yeah, and remember my Patreon, and I also give private lessons. But so we have this B section happening. Then another weird stereo thing with the drums here, kind of just like from earlier. I made these little tick marks because you get that shaker thing. And to me, that does sound like it's an addition to the general drum beat. So it's to the general like breakbeat thing that's really being manipulated. I thought this was a cool little effect. Again, these are just like different ways of making little like pops to like get you interested as a listener. And this one is one we haven't really heard before. So we're getting that stereo effect. And then I put flutter because it seems like the volume of it is like pulsating. It's like fluttering. Like it feels like it's almost just like vanishing or something. Or just like disappearing. I don't know if those are the right words for it, but y'all know what I'm saying. It's something interesting's happening, and yeah, a way you could make that a similar sound is to take your drum beat, automate the volume, maybe use an auto pan to automate the volume if you're using Ableton. Maybe some like erosion on it, chorus, something like that. I'm not gonna get too deep into the sound design. Y'all know me. I don't do that usually. Okay, this one was cool. So once again, we get a little. Now, I do think an easy way to do this would be to throw a frequency shifter on to your drum loop and then just send the frequency shifter up high. And then add some bit crushing. You can hear how crunchy it is right there. But okay, so see what I mean? Look at all these little things the drums are doing. So as we're getting this B section, these drums keep stopping me. They keep making me talk about them. And yeah, so we're kind of getting this play once again between this cool melodic part and then the drums that are just kind of here, then they're out, then they're here, then they're out, or rather they're here, then they're doing something crazy, then they're coming back in normally, then they're doing something crazy, really keeping us on our toes. Alright, I'm going to stop talking so much about all the drum things, but, it happens again here. We're getting the addition of this hat. It's happening again here. And I want to say that the reason why I made this dark green is because even though this is still like a continuation of the B section, which, by the way, is another 4-bar loop, we are having it start on a very different note hits at the beginning than over here. Here we're getting doo-doo. And then here we get doo, which seems to like be kind of dissonant to me. It really stands out, and that just helps keep this fresh. Yeah, then we get this doo-doo versus over here. We get doo-doo. And here it's doo-doo. Yeah, and then here we kind of like return back to the main idea here. So yeah, I'm still considering this part of the B section, but I am noting that within the B section, it is creating its own sort of tension by having these different notes and kind of like different top line melody happening. And yeah, so we're gonna keep doing this for a bit. We're now on our like 4th cycle of the B section. Cool. So now we're going back to the A. And you'll notice that this starts with this do 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 versus usually it's not starting with anything like that. Do 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 do. But here we get. How did I miss this? All right, we have another melody. A melody end. I'm calling it A melody end because the melody going on top of the A section towards the end of the song. Halfway through. Sorry, I'm being a little sloppy today. Alright, now y'all are going to see how I do it because people keep asking, how do you recreate the track? This is how I recreate the track. Well, I'm not recreating it, but I just map it out quickly, okay? So listen. Do, do. Alright, that's sort of right. So this is what I do. But honestly, normally, when I'm recreating these tracks, I don't even get the notes right. I don't even try. But I felt like doing it on this one because I feel like the way I'm deconstructing it this time was just pretty quick. And I was like, why not get it kind of right? Because I'll keep asking for project files, and I feel bad, and I end up telling you, hey, just so you know, they're not exactly right. But you can still use them to look at the macro ideas and play around with it. And yeah, so I think there could still be some value there for sure. I mean, like I said, I used to make these breakdowns just for myself and just so I could just look at it and just see the big ideas going on and get some arrangement ideas. But okay, so we have this new melody. And yeah, so this is cool. So now we're kind of like back to the beginning, but we just have this additional melody. This is a little different. Something like that. Okay, so I know this one's been a little more over the place than I would like, because I'm going to rewind us for a second. So in addition to this additional melody, we also get like a funkier drum loop. Listen to this white part here. We're getting this. We haven't had that in the other A sections. We haven't had those drums in the other A sections, and I feel like it makes it feel a little funkier, so that's why I put funkier. Let's write that again, funkier. So now we get basically the same drum loop as earlier, but it's funkier now because we added some more funkiness. Okay, so to quickly recap, we have an A section with drums. The drums are doing crazy things. They're adding a little percussion to help keep it interesting. We get the addition of a little melody here to help keep things interesting. Then the addition of another melody that's kind of a drony melody to help keep it interesting. Then to keep keeping it interesting, we switch to a B section where we have a new like melodic phrase playing. Meanwhile, our drums are just continually doing interesting, weird little things here and there, which helps keep the B section melodic content interesting. It helps keep that fresh just because it's taking us away from it, and it's just taking our brain in different ways. And so we're getting like familiarity repeating, and then like things like jumping in and pushing you out of your comfort zone. So we basically keep having that happening. The B section has some tension created because as one of its parts repeats, it does have some different melodic content on the top, which just makes this B section continue to stay interesting. And then we get a funkier drum loop, an additional melody, and we go back to the A section. So we've gone from A to B, back to A, but this time as we're back at A, we have additional percussion and additional melody. So it's interesting. It's different than before, and it's cool. Now, as this A section keeps playing, we get the drone thing coming back. So now we have drone melody with this new melody with the funkier drums. So this, yeah, we've had the A section before, but we've never had it just like this. And then eventually, we're going to now have a cool part where main melodic component drops, the main key drops for a second. We get this big kick thing happening here. So we're getting really bassy kick, and then we get this like funky sound. Maybe I'll call it funk metal. I don't know. It sounds almost like a piece of metal being messed around with because I already wrote funky over here. So now let's hear what happens there. So this is cool because, to me, it's cool because now that the like somber, nostalgic, kind of serious, however you want to call them, chords have dropped, the mood changes quite a bit because I feel like those chords have really established a certain mood. But now when they're gone, this is almost like you could just like loop this forever and just like throw it on a dance floor. I just like this because it really takes us out. It's almost like a mini bridge or something. It really takes us out of this vibe that's been established. But then the vibe comes back as we add the keys on top of this funky groove. We come back to the A section, which we just like barely left. And now we have A section with this big kick and with the funky drums and with the funky metal sound. So, okay, remember when I said at the beginning that part of why I did this way was because I was feeling lazy, and also because I do feel like so much of this track is keys versus drums? I mean, look at this. Here the drums just leave for a bit, then they come back a little bit, and then they come back with that big hit. And we've already talked about all the stuttering and stuff. So, yeah, I do feel like that's a cool way to view this track. And, you know, maybe if you're making a track, you could go ahead and try and set up a dynamic like this and see how that goes for you. Maybe that'll be fun. Maybe it won't be. And now let's finish with an A section with funky drums, big kick, funky metal, and then let's just end the song because we've got other things to do. All right. Thank y'all.